So this is the one that matters. This is all about selling. This is all about innovative distribution strategies, innovative products to be sold. And I've got a first panel. I'm going to welcome Cormac Whelan, who's the CEO of Datalex. Some of you will have heard Christoph Müller talk about his flexible booking engine that allows him to do what he wants. Datalex provide that for Aerlingus and a number of other airlines and around the world. How many deals have you won? You pick up the microphone before you answer. This year. Pick up the microphone. Sorry?
12.
12 deals this year. 12 deals. Clearly, ancillary revenue matters. Welcome, everybody. Everybody's coming in. I'd like to welcome up to the stage Ron Perry. Ron Perry is the CEO of Radixx. For those of you that don't know, Radixx provides reservations, departure control system, inventory management for low-cost carriers and hybrid carriers based in Florida. And I've had some great successes recently, and it would be great to have Ron on the panel. If I could welcome Jerry Dunn. So Jerry isn't in your booklet, but Jerry's been volunteered because his CEO has just mentioned all about EasyJet's new distribution strategy, and the architect of that strategy is Jerry Dunn. He's been with EasyJet how many years, Jerry? Pick up the microphone.
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
So it's taken you 5 years to convert EasyJet to the opportunity for higher yield in business travel.
We're still growing in that area. It's an evolution. It's an evolution.
It's an evolution. So Jerry Dunn from EasyJet, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that's probably one of the most innovative things we're going to talk about. If I could welcome up Ronan Fitzpatrick from Aerlingus. I think Ronan is, I know, Ronan is the head of distribution for Aerlingus, but Ronan's got an interesting background because he came from the IT side of the business, which allowed Aerlingus to effectively get a cost to compete against those like Ryanair, and has seen the proportion of distribution for direct business up to 85%, Ronan?
Yeah, about
83%. 83% sold directly to customers, either through, I believe, an API or directly on the Aerlingus website. And the final panelist for this session is Oriano Cicalia. Is that fair?
Right.
Good, I got that right. And Oriano has a very interesting job because it's about customer experience, and it's not about the customer experience on the website. It's about the customer experience all the way through the journey and the process. And I thought that was a very interesting job title and a very interesting position to hold. And I'm sure he's got some ideas about some of the things we're going to be talking about. Most of the conferences that I've been to talk about innovative distribution strategies being those strategies where we're selling direct. And it was great fun this morning to watch the wheel turn completely around, especially at EasyJet. Listen to Carolyn talking about Richard's quest to eat elephants, which I thought was most amusing. I can see some of you don't find that quite as funny as I do, but anyway. And they announced, or the way that it was put forward was, there is this great community and opportunity that we can reach. And I think she even used the word GDS, probably a testament to Jerry's work over the last 4 or 5 years. But when I first met EasyJet, the CEO told me about 4 years ago, not ever, never, over my dead body. Well, there we go. So you can take that as you wish. A very interesting opportunity. So maybe if I could just kick off with the first question. So, Cormac, what for you is an innovative distribution strategy? Everyone is going to, if you could pick up a microphone, everybody, because we'll go around the table. And of course, if you have any questions, if you'd like to put your hands up, do we have any microphones? Is there anybody here from Terrapin that can put their hand up and say, yes, we've got some microphones, or do people just have to shout? Yes, there's a microphone in the back there. Brilliant. So if we've got some questions from the floor, please interrupt me. I'm going to stand up here, make myself feel tall, especially next to the tallest Irishman in Ireland.
So I guess, I was interested in reading the agenda here. There's nowhere that it mentions customers. So I think that, a radical concept, airlines should look at how other industries build their distribution channels, build their distribution strategies, and they should focus that around the customers. Understanding, what product I want to sell to which customer through what channel, as opposed to worrying about what will the GDSs think, what will the OTAs think. Let's focus around my customer first, understand what my customer expects of me, and then build the distribution strategy around that. That's a radical concept, I think, in a lot of airlines.
I mean, I'm going to look straight at Jerry and say, well, that sounds a bit like some of the work you've been doing, Jerry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Concentrating on the customer is very important, and we've always done that through our direct distribution model through easyjet.com. I guess what we've done over the last few years is recognize there are other customers as well. There are travel agencies who book with us, who may book through directly on easyjet.com, and they may prefer to book through other booking systems, whether they be aggregator booking systems who have filled the gap whilst we were not on the GDS, or even the GDSs. So we're really just recognizing that there are different customers out there, and there are particularly the travel management companies who service the high-value business traveler. We want to make it easier for them. I mean, obviously, EasyJet is you know, we're very much about making it easier and more affordable for our customers to book with us. And booking directly on easyjet.com may not be the easiest way for those travel management companies to book with us. So we've had to find a new way of interacting and engaging with those customers. We've done it in a very controlled way. We've not wanted to sort of get rid of all of the success that we had in our direct distribution by simply opening the floodgates to GDS distribution to leisure as well as business. So we've done it in a very careful way, and we're now seeking to grow that further, obviously with Karen's support from the top. We're very much interested in that market segment.
Just so it's a pragmatic approach to reaching a new group and segment of customers.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't have to be business. It's about higher revenue per seat. You know, if there's a sector of the leisure industry that has high yield customers, then we're absolutely very interested in finding easier ways to engage and distribute to them.
Let me ask you something, Ron.
Yeah.
You know, your history of providing services to low-cost carriers and very much the direct distribution. How are you adapting what you're doing to fit these new requirements and new capabilities?
Yeah, actually, we've been distributing through the GDSs since '95.
Right.
So we've never been a low-cost system. We've always been hybrid. We've always been ticketed and ticketless. My background is not the airline industry. When I got involved about 18 years ago, I thought, this is nuts. How does any airline ever make a profit? There are artificial limitations and dysfunctions in this industry that shouldn't be there, that are caused by the underlying systems. I agree totally with Cormac that you have to look at distribution in other industries, and you just have indirect and you have direct channels. And in this industry, direct is simple to understand, works well. Indirect is really screwed up. And a lot of what we're all working through is how do you straighten out this screwed up indirect channel? And I believe that the bottom line differentiation and the result of the dysfunction is loss of revenue control in the indirect channel where you have monies floating around. So what we've sought to do is find creative ways to, for example, use the GDS but bypass the BSP, or distribute directly to the customer, but then have them go and pay at a travel agency that has a direct connection into the airline. And we just think that there are a lot of these new approaches that are developing worldwide.
So what about I mean, one of the issues of BSP is it doesn't mitigate financial risk, but it certainly helps you manage financial risk. So the payment side of this is pretty critical, right?
I think that the model that we're seeing emerge worldwide, not so much in Western Europe and not so much certainly in North America, certainly US and Canada not so much, is a prior deposit by travel agents who then really become cash collection agents, and they book against that over any one of a number of channels. And then that solves the problem of selling your ancillaries and bundled fares to the travel agent, because the traditional channel does not handle it very well. So we're seeing this change, but not in certain parts of the world. But I think it's coming.
Well, and you say it's not in certain... So I mean, we've got Ronan and Oriano here from Alitalia and Aerlingus. I mean, Ronan, are you seeing big shifts in the way that people want to pay for their buy their products online, or what?
No, I mean, I suppose to follow through the points that the panelists have made already, I mean, we see this as essentially being following the customer. And in the same way as customers, you know, we've been quick to embrace in the airline industry that, you know, there's the internet and now there's mobile. All that transaction was doing is following the customer and dealing with the customer in a channel they want to transact in. But we've had these channels that existed prior to mobile and everything else that for a variety of reasons we found less attractive. And I think the reasons we found them less attractive were essentially because of loss of customer ownership, particularly as the fares, the price of a ticket went down. So you need to have an element of customer ownership in that scenario, and the most efficient way to have that customer relationship and through that relationship drive revenue has traditionally been the direct channel. Now, that is lessened to an extent when you segment your customers and you say the customers that I'm interested in, my non-direct channels, are ones that are paying me a higher yield, so therefore I don't have to get the same ancillary necessarily from them.
So maybe if I could summarize that there's an issue of merchandising the right set of products for the right set of customers, and the technology today doesn't allow you to do that, so that's probably, I mean, Jerry, if you don't mind me paraphrasing what Carolyn said, but you've created some bundles to allow you to sell some additional products. I mean,
yeah, I mean, actually the bundled side is really trying to add value to a flexi fare proposition.
But it's not to get around the issue of technology.
Absolutely.
Ah, okay.
I mean, right from the beginning when we started GDS distribution, and not just GDS, but the other aggregator systems and self-booking tools that we're connected to, we developed an XML API, and we used that to connect to whichever booking system required our content. And right from day one, we distributed our unbundled ancillary services, whether they be bags or speedy boarding or sporting equipment. They're bookable at point of sale, and have been right from day one. So, there's a lot of debate in the industry about direct connect. Our direct connect, our API, we connect to the GDSs and we connect to other booking systems.
And the GDS can cope with your API.
Yeah.
And can sell an unbundled, rebundled product? Is that right?
So we obviously sell our Flexi Fare now, which is a bundled proposition, and we sell our low standard fares with the unbundled ancillary services as well. So, there's no restriction technically. Now, clearly, from the beginning, when we first engaged with the GDSs, they had to invest a lot of money in developing a ticketless solution to enable our model to be serviced through their channel. They invested a lot of money, we invested a lot of money, we've grown and are continuing to grow. And as I said before, it's an evolution. We're now looking at taking it to the next level. So, we've put the challenge out to the GDSs again to try and improve the booking flow and make it as close as possible to what it would be for booking a legacy carrier, to make it as easy as, easy a process as possible.
So are you going to implement EMD as part of this?
We have no need to do that. We're a ticketless carrier. As far as we're concerned, when we sell the bag, we have a record in our system. As long as there's a record in the PNR booked through the GDS, there's no need from our side to do it. If there's a particular issue that needs resolving, that it's the only way to do it, then of course we'll look at it, but we don't have a particular need to do that.
So I think that American Airlines has been pretty vocal about their position, and as many people in this room will know, American Airlines is still in court, is still in a process with one of the GDSs in particular. Aureliano, if I could just ask you, Alitalia is sort of viewed as a traditional carrier, but you've been doing some interesting things, I understand, on the distribution side and on the selling side to be able to bring some of this merchandising capability to the market. And how are you doing that?
Right. I'm quite amazed by the fact that everybody's talking about the possibility to sell ancillaries on the GDS. As a matter of fact, every time I talk to my IT people and I say, hey, I want to sell this or I want to sell that, they say, no, this is not possible because the GDS do not work this way. So basically, the problem we are facing today is that we do not have the tool to sell ancillaries in the GDS, and 80% of our sales are still through the agents. So we are working in developing the EMD, which is the the way to sell tickets and ancillaries through the agents. And we are developing the EMD both for the web and for the agents. There is a lot to do on our side. I mean, as a full service carrier, we are learning to a certain extent from the low-cost carriers, and it's how to say it's a laboratory for us where you experiment new technologies, new tools, and we try to grab them and to use them in the traditional environment. But as a matter of fact, in the distribution side, I think that the new technologies may help us, because we are facing changes every day in the tablets, in the Androids, and so on. So probably the new technology may help in selling better or in enhancing the possibility to sell some ancillaries.
So you're going to rely on new technology to get you through this. You've got a very old reservation system.
Yes, that's right.
So are you going to add some technology like Datalex, or?
We are moving into a new hosting system. So we have a very old system that is Arco. Arco is a carrier system. It's I guess it's almost 35 years old. So we're in a year and a half, we're moving to a new hosting system that probably will incorporate the new tools in selling ancillary revenues.
Certainly some of them, perhaps.
Sorry?
Some of those tools.
That's right.
You hope?
We have some, but basically we sell on the web. The only way we can today sell ancillaries is just on the web.
Right. So the only way, I think the American point was, the only way we can merchandise effectively is via the web, and there is, you know, do you believe that's the only way you can sell?
Today, for us, is the only way. But in my opinion, we have to move to other ways, and the only way that I see as a potential is the agents, because today they still manage 80% of our customers. So that's the place where we can sell something else apart of the tickets.
And are you going to cut them in for a piece of the action? Do you think? Are you going to give them some commission? And
yeah, this is a good point. You know, currently everybody has moved to a zero commission for the agents, but I think that we need to, as far as the ancillaries are concerned, I think we need to review this position, because nobody would sell anything if you don't incentivize.
Well, they'll sell their ancillaries, not yours.
Yeah, it's their ancillaries, but it's part of our ancillaries. So we are sharing the same pie.
So I think that would be a very innovative distribution strategy, is to pay agents commission to sell things you want them to sell.
To get commissions.
It's amazing that agents are still around. Do we have any travel agents in the room, by the way? Are we just all airline and supplier people? Do we have any travel agents? Oh, please, can there be one travel agent? Could somebody who pretend to be a travel agent? So we can ask them. There must be somebody.
Well, we have travel agency customers.
I know you do. So you do. Who are they, and how do they make their money? I mean, do they make their money out of air?
So what we've seen with the travel agencies is they again, you know, just like other industries, they move towards where they provide value to the customer. So the travel agency customers that come into a Trailfinders or an STA Travel, or you know, a travel co-op, say in the UK, there's a value that those agents provide. But where the agencies actually make money, they're not making money on flying somebody from London to New York anymore. They're making money from being able to get that person to buy a business class upgrade. They're making, you know, money from being able to sell them on a hotel or, you know, a package of activities. And that's where they're focusing their business models. But you know, the reason customers walk in their door or call them up is because they add value to the traveler's experience. They add value to what, you know, they give options to the traveler that if they went, say, maybe directly at an airline, they might not get. And so that's why, you know, that's why the ones that are around today still exist, because they're adding value to the customer.
Right. Right. I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is an important point, and it's an important point in the overall question of the evolution of ancillary to retail. And I think it's part of where the gap has grown up, I suppose, between the indirect and direct channels, because there's a couple of salient points in the mix. One is the rate of change of and you mentioned EMD, the rate of change of standards in the traditional channels or the indirect channels has traditionally been quite slow. So you end up with a situation where you have OB and OC fees being partially rolled out across Europe, but by the time handling fees, for example, are rolled out across Europe, legislation has caught up and it's back into a situation of, are we now talking about drip feed of price increases? So we'll be back into including it back in the fare again at some point along the way. So really the rate of change is important in these items. So you end up with a situation, you've got items which could be classified as ancillary, which are the handling fees and bag fee type things of this world, which let's face it, you don't really have to retail to a customer. They either want them in a lot of cases or they don't want them and they're going to have to take them, versus the retail elements which customers have got choice over. And then you've got the question of how do you retail those elements to customers if you don't have a relationship with those customers? And if you're 2 steps removed, it's very difficult to have that relationship.
But surely that's to do with the way you present and market your product. And I mean, if I look at Norwegian, Daniel Sheldham this morning, they've been fantastic at creating a marketing platform on their website with changing the shape and the colours and driving sell-through. I mean, that you have experience.
And that's exactly the point. I mean, you can have a relationship and you can control the way you look and feel, and you can multivariate test and do A/B analysis on items on your own website in a way that you can't when your content is fragmented.
Right. So controlling the presentation is really critical to the merchandising.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time after time with various ancillary items. Changes, either intentional or otherwise, having a material effect on attachment rates. Some of them well-intentioned in some instances, but you can materially impact the revenue you get from ancillary items by small presentation changes.
Jerry, I mean, we just talked about the travel agents, having a value proposition. Your move to putting product through the TMCs in particular. Are you worried about how your presentation will appear? Is that one of the reasons you've thickened some of the routes, increased the frequencies? Does that give you a better position on the GDS? Well,
we've developed our products and service and our network to appeal more and more to business travellers, clearly, and as you know, they're the higher yield. Clearly, we would prefer to have that direct customer relationship, and still. At least 90% of our sales go through our website, where more often than not, it's the direct customer relationship. There are some travel agents who manage that relationship and still book on the website, but clearly the travel management companies who manage large corporates and they have tight travel policies, they book through the GDS. So if we want to capture that part of the market, we have to compromise a little bit in that regard. So. As long as we can make it profitable, and clearly, they're travelling closer to departure when the fares are higher, perhaps they have a greater propensity for ancillary services, we'll make more money out of them.
Do you think there's an opportunity for ancillary services to business traveller, or has it got to come as a bundled best fare?
No,
competes?
I mean, speedy boarding is our priority boarding service. It is predominantly a business travel ancillary service.
Assigned seats? Maybe?
We don't do assigned seats.
No, I know you don't, but are we going to see those?
We're looking at all different avenues at all times, as you know.
Are we going to see EasyJet with a new rest system?
Sorry?
So, are we going to see EasyJet with a new rest system?
I think that's highly unlikely. Clearly we have our own unique bespoke system that does give us a huge amount of control over our own destiny. We can develop the solutions that we need in our own reservation system. We developed our own XML API without any need for any third-party involvement. So I think that's unlikely.
Right. Ron, on the marketing side, are you able, from the base of Radixx, to create these bundled and unbundled products to be distributed in any channel, or is it very much focused on the direct?
We work to do it in any channel. There is a limitation on current GDS technology, so that the major GDSs do create a challenge there. In those cases where we're selling through the GDS, or clients are selling through the GDS, our goal then is to add the ancillaries at a subsequent second transaction. Finding ways to get somebody then to come to a website to make a modification or check-in or any number of other things to have additional touch points. Also doing it in the sending of the receipt and including in the receipt, the sale of ancillaries. In addition, our system functions as an ERP type of a system where everything is in a database, and we maintain all the information on customers for years and years and years. So that
that's unique, right? I mean, that's important that that's relatively unique to the new generation providers. Right?
Yeah, I think we're the only one who's designed it as an ERP.
Right.
But what that enables us to do then is find somebody who has booked through the GDS and then link them back to other instances of them booking where they book directly. Because the reality is there are not travel agency customers and then direct customers. There are people who book sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly. Yeah. And the ability to link them, then you can establish who the customer is and then contact them in other ways. We're constantly looking for innovative approaches. For example, to accept the booking and then send them an SMS to do an upgrade to upsell.
So take it from the travel agent's perspective. They've gone out and acquired you this customer, and now the airline is trying to disintermediate them from the relationship. Mm-hmm. That creates a bit of tension, right? How are your customers getting over that?
I didn't raise my hand before, but I actually for many years owned a travel agency.
Right.
Okay.
I knew there'd be one. There had to be one travel agent.
And I come from good stock. My grandfather owned one, in fact, primarily selling Alitalia. And I think that travel agents are dealing with the new reality. And I do think that there's an emerging new partnership. And I don't think the travel agency is the enemy. I believe the travel agency has contacts and customers just as any reseller channel would. I believe that the antiquated technology of the GDS is the enemy, and that the bizarre flows that exist with e-tickets, EMDs, BSP, and the rest, where you wind up with all of these intermediaries taking huge chunks out of what should be the airline's revenue, is really the problem. And so we're constantly looking for creative ways to both interoperate with and bypass all of these various other intermediaries.
And that's the elephant in the room, by the way.
Which elephant?
The fact that the GDSs, I mean, they all make a huge amount of cash profit. It's not a question that they can't innovate better than companies like Radixx or Datalex. It's the fact that it goes against their basic business models on one side of their business where they generate a huge amount of cash profit, and that is a challenge that they have. And I think the other thing is they've simplified the systems on the back end of the CRS and the GDS so that an airline who is, an airline's just a retailer like anybody else, like Tesco, like Walmart. They want to be able to differentiate their products to their customers. They want to be able to differentiate how they present their brand to their customers. And if they're selling that online or if they're selling that directly, they want to be able to differentiate that differentiation as EasyJet has done, as Aerlingus has done. And as Alitalia said, that's the challenge, where that innovation comes around the customer. The GDS systems are, there's challenges there, both on a business model side and on the actual delivery side.
I mean, the GDSs have some of the GDSs have dealt quite well with the other side by building pretty comprehensive PSS systems. And in fact, Sabre is really a PSS that became a GDS. And Amadeus is a GDS that became a PSS. So they're doing both, right? They're playing both sides of that equation.
But they use standards to hide behind, such as ATPCO. An airline wants to be able to present its brand to each customer almost uniquely. So if you're Delta Airlines and you have 160 million customers, Delta's vision is that they want to be able to, and they have legacy technology everywhere. Okay, their vision is they want to be able to make unique offers to every unique customer based on where they're shopping, when they're shopping, based on what they know about their frequent flyer history, based on what they know about their shopper history. And that's where the innovation, that's where the distribution strategies are starting to evolve to now. They're now starting to focus around the customer and not around the legacy technology limitations, not around the legacy GDS contracts that are content orientated and everything else. They're actually starting to act like other businesses do, like banks do, and like, as I said, Walmart does when it's going to sell to its customers.
I mean, so I'd kind of say that some of the airlines would disagree with that because some of them already have super segmentation, they have very complex revenue management processes, You know, they don't know if the customer or the request at being executed through the Carlson Wagon Lee terminal is, you know, Joe Smith from Merrill Lynch or Joe Bloggs from from UBS, and I'm sure Merrill Lynch get a better price than UBS after the recent performance. So you know, some revenue management people would argue they do some of that already, but
I guarantee you, like, the revenue management aren't sitting there like literally worried about what was the last experience of the customer. Okay, I know that's very simplistic.
Well, if they don't buy,
let me put it in perspective. Whether you come into a kiosk or whether you come in through a mobile channel or online, or even like the things that travel agencies do very effectively, they know the guy who comes in and sits in front of them or calls into their center and says, I want to buy an airline seat. You know, the travel agent makes a decision, should I sell this guy business class, you know, based on whether the guy's wearing a suit or not, based on their interaction. And, you know, airlines want to be able to differentiate themselves to their customers on that basis. And unlike in other retail spaces like banking or like Target, you have so much more information and detail about your customers. You know, like in terms of, you know, where they're going, you know, what, like, you know, you possibly know where they're staying, you know, where they're coming from, you know where they're going to be 2 hours before the plane takes off. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole bunch of context there that actually makes, you know, like travel, like, and selling to a traveler very compelling for an airline. And that's where we believe they should build their distribution strategies.
Right. And
it's probably key that you kind of don't mix up the two pieces of the principles of revenue management and the customer segmentation, because revenue management in principle will know that this amount of bookings materialized inside 45 days of departure, but it won't know whether they were the same people who bought inside 45 days of departure this time as last year. It's just numbers.
Is Pete McGlade in the room from Southwest Airlines? No?
He's not, so I can say this.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of the segmentation piece, I mean, Cormac's absolutely right. I mean, you know, you've got a situation where traditionally we've known everything about a customer in relation to their specific booking at a point in time, with no cognizance of their previous history. So it's a passenger name record for this itinerary, and everything else is forgotten about. It's almost operational in its treatment of a customer. Once your last sector has flown, we forget about you. So that is the part that has to change. But the tricky part for airlines who are considering whether to have multi-channel distribution is how do they get access to that other indirect piece if they don't have the connectivity and don't have the different pieces that are there already. I mean, we, from an Aerlingus perspective, we kind of came from the absolute opposite angle in that, you know, year 2000 we had 0% online. By 2009 we had 83% online. So, but we had all the connectivity and all the traditional legacy connectivity that existed. So it's a different discussion starting off from, you know, we rode a little bit of the crest of the wave, albeit with decisions on travel agent commission, etc. along the way, but you're pushing an open door and moving people to the internet at a point in time. The question now for people is, how do I get access to the customers who aren't happy to deal on the internet, who want to go to travel agents, who use corporates and TMCs, and how do I do it in a way that means for an airline I don't have to build a massive infrastructure and start this whole thing from scratch, because that is the big difficulty for airlines who are almost entirely online.
So that brings back the issue of, if, just like when we take people off planes and we change the economics of revenue versus cost, if the GDSs rely on some of those simple bookings in order to get their costs to a certain price, and if I could paraphrase what you might say is that's an unacceptable cost at any cost, but the reality is it's a cost. If we drop the volumes, then surely we have to put up the price. So the question then is, if we're going to cut the volumes into the GDS by 50%, are we going to allow the price to increase by 50? Are we? Go on, Jerry, answer that one.
Well, I guess we're in a slightly different situation because you know, one of the prerequisites that we made of the GDSs when we moved into their world was we were not about increasing our cost base. You know, we're a low-cost carrier, therefore, if there is a choice of how you book, if there's a cost of booking through that channel, then we'll pass that cost on in the same way as if you choose to buy a sandwich on the plane, then you can pay for that. So
you've passed on that. You've got an agreement to pass on the costs of GDS to the.
As you know, we charge a fee, a surcharge, a point of sale fee, which covers our cost of distribution. Right. It also compensates us for the loss of that direct customer relationship that we talked about before. Clearly, we're not selling directly to the consumer and selling our own ancillary partners, so we're losing revenue, so clearly we need to be compensated. And also, and very importantly, we wanted to make sure that EasyJet.com remained the cheapest place to buy our flights. Now, if a TMC chose for the benefits of efficiency and productivity to book through the GDS, which is their preferred system, then absolutely they can, and it's a very easy process. It will improve in the coming years as well as the GDSs enhance and improve the booking flows. It's a choice, and if a travel agent found booking directly on our website the easiest way of doing it, then of course they're welcome to do it. But I think in reality the productivity more than outweighs the small costs that we apply.
And you're not finding that the GDSs are sitting opposite you saying, but you're going to double your revenue per passenger. It's very reasonable that you pay me.
Well, I think the GDSs are sensible, and they realise that we're a large European carrier, and it's quite an important part of their inventory to offer their travel agents. Right. So we have an adult conversation about the booking fees.
Look, I think that's a key point, because I think, and it boils back then to how we started off the discussion in terms of what the customer wants. So I think in the EasyJet GDS scenario, everybody recognised that the customer wanted breadth of coverage on routes. So how does GDS offer breadth of coverage? It offers breadth of coverage by giving access to EasyJet fares. So you've got options if you've got the network coverage that EasyJet will have. If you're a smaller carrier, then your difficulty will be how do I decide I'm going to enter into a GDS market in a way that suits me rather than suits the GDS. Who needs who more?
Who needs who more?
A lot depends on also the functionalities that you use. We have a simple business model. We have no need to issue tickets or participate in BSP. So a lot of the functionalities that would be applicable for a legacy carrier are just not applicable to us. So we can actually, we've developed in conjunction with the GDSs a new ticketless booking solution, which unfortunately at the moment, because they are, you either choose to book through a ticketless solution, or you choose the legacy traditional route and you file your fares and participate with BSP. I think the key to the future is the sort of amalgamation, the consolidation of regardless of what's behind the scenes and the pipes that connect, whether it's the base fare itself or whether it's the ancillaries separately, regardless of what's under the bonnet of the engine. As long as the presentation to the travel agency is as easy as possible for them to book, that's the key. That's all that people want.
I mean, we just mentioned payment briefly, because obviously you can't distribute unless you can take payment. Is EasyJet considering in their distribution strategy working on the basis of invoices with corporations and travel agents? We
don't today, and again, our prerequisite with GDS and API distribution was that the business model, our payment process should be exactly the same. Now, clearly, we are actively engaging with corporates and TMCs. We're trying to understand what are the blockages, what are the barriers to them booking more with us, because clearly we want more of their business. And payments is one of those areas that we're looking into. Now, clearly, to participate in BSP is a big item. It's not something that we're particularly keen to do. But if there are low-cost ways that don't add a huge amount of cost to being able to develop business, not with, I don't think this is likely to be something that can be done with, tens of thousands of agents, but clearly there are big TMCs who can bring us a lot of good value customers, and maybe it does require, some movement in terms of how we engage and how we receive money from them. But today, it's very much the same as booking on our website. You pay with a valid credit or debit card.
What about Alitalia? Are you working in the corporate space with direct on corporations? Are you trying to move away from the BSP model, or are you
No, not so far. We are keeping this, probably for the coming years, we are keeping the same model. Of course, we want to switch from the indirect sales to direct sales as much as possible, because today we sell only 15% on the web, so we have a lot to do more. So we are staying with the current model for many years. The point is that, as Ron was saying, the agents are not the enemy. I mean, we have to work with them. Of course, we need to make a sustainable deal, but they are not the enemy. We need to work in order to make them sell other services or the unbundled. But we need. I mean, I think we have to cooperate, not to work one against the other. The point is that the systems are not the enemy as well, but do not, so far, have not helped enough in improving, in boosting sales. As far as the legacy carriers are concerned, I think that another important, to a certain extent, distribution tool is the interline. Basically, we carry 20% of interlining passengers. And we have partners like Delta or like Air France or KLM that produce a huge amount of passengers, and we cannot propose anything to these passengers. So a good way to boost sales is to interline unbundling and services through the other carriers' channels, specifically for legacy carriers, because we do a lot of interline. For low-cost carriers is different because they sell only.
Well, they are changing. They're changing.
But I mean, if they join the GDS, they probably can take advantage of this as well.
Well, they can interline if they.
Interlining.
They can interline if they sign an interline agreement.
Well, there are some experiments in interlining with the low-cost carriers.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Aerlingus, we interline.
Right.
A significant amount of our traffic flows in Heathrow and Amsterdam would be interline passengers.
And you interline in two ways, don't you? You interline through sort of simple technology. Not to be insulting to Cormac, sorry, simple ways of doing things, and you also do more complex, traditional interlining.
Technology should always be simple.
I get it. He's very big and he's got very big fists. I don't know whether you can see that. And I'm within striking distance, so.
I'm much less threatening, but I was about to say the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, we interline in two ways. We have the traditional interline piece that goes through the GDS and is a flow through the GDS, and we have examples such as our JetBlue relationship that is a little bit left of centre, I suppose, when it comes to how you describe traditional models.
But I mean, that is, your point is that interlining is a valid distribution strategy.
Yes, because you can take advantage of the partners' sales power.
Yeah. I mean, I think we heard a great example from Christoph Müller today talking about the fact that United, has an enormous revenue opportunity and unable to fly the route, and Aerlingus can do it for them, and the crew is based in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Aerlingus route network on long haul, where we reduced down to 5 core gateways, but we now connect to 51 cities. So it's exactly that. I mean, and why do we do it? It was to offer customer choice. And customer choice in a way that's going to be profitable for us and will enable flows over our main gateways, but also to offer customers the connectivity that they want to get.
Right. So a better product, more demand, more revenue. What about the ancillary side? Is the interline business an opportunity for ancillary for you? Are you able to do what Ron does for his customers, which is to remarket additional products and services to their?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Airlingus.com and the Irish market, I mean, and why we offer, say, a choice of over 50 destinations in the US, it's essentially because the customers trust the Airlingus brand. So they come to Airlingus looking to get to a destination. They're not as concerned. They trust us to get them to a destination with a partner that's appropriate for their needs. So they want to get to a destination in the United States. We offer them the connectivity, and they're happy to book with us. So if they're booking with us on Aerlingus.com, we have all the opportunity to retail. We have all the opportunity to have the second chance purchases, the upgrades, upsell through our travel advisory emails, all those kind of bits and pieces. The second chance sale is still a significant part of our ancillary revenue armory.
Right. So an innovative distribution strategy is to do interlining and code sharing. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? We come right back round. Right. We go out of the GDS, we go to direct, we go API, We'd been the
Some
GDSs.
others did, we didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. No, it appears that you didn't have much of a choice. Yeah. I mean, I think Aerlingus is a great example because they went from one place to somewhere else.
That's right. That's right. And they're moving back.
Are you coming back the other way then?
I wouldn't say we're coming back the other way. You might see percentage shifts here and there, but it's like EasyJet. Aerlingus.com is still our primary distribution channel.
Right, and will always remain the cheapest place to buy your products.
Yeah, I mean it'll always be our primary distribution channel.
Right. No change there. So what about the online travel agents? I mean, you know, we've seen. Some of you may have seen that American Airlines has filed some papers with the court, blanking out what appears to be the name of a number of people that were involved in some kind of conspiracy. That's their claim. The online travel agents look like they fit that line or those lines. Is it, you know, how does Alitalia see the online agents?
Well, we work with the OTA. Of course, you want to. Does it work? Okay, but we are rethinking about this because currently we sell packages, flight plus hotel, and hotel on via the OTA, and we are thinking about changing this policy because we think that selling flights through the OTA is bringing less revenue than make the passenger reserve the tickets on our website. So it's a difficult matter, but OTA today has produced a lot of revenue, so we need to admit it. But for the future, we do not know yet if the OTA is the right choice to sell flights. We are focusing more on driving passengers on our site.
I mean, that's a very interesting point, packaging.
Right.
Because packaging allows you an opportunity to merchandise a very low-priced flight against a reasonable-priced hotel. I mean, Ron, maybe, are you offering those capabilities through your system?
Yeah, and our view of the world really is that we believe that over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, there will be a large percentage of airlines that will seek to achieve an Amazon.com type of a business model that also sells flights, as opposed to an airline that also sells ancillaries. And we think that there's a move away from just selling ancillaries to there are products that an airline sells, one of which is a fare with a segment. So that at this point, our system will sell the hotels, the cars, and everything. They're just widgets to be sold within the system and then revenue controlled, because more and more of the revenue management has to be on ancillaries, and likewise revenue accounting. So many of the traditional systems support just what is in the ticket, and of course the ticket only controls, only contains fare, fees, and taxes. And so they're fundamental issues. And the advent of the EMD is going to just add an additional level of complexity, not solve things. It needs to be viewed holistically. The airline is selling to a customer, and they're selling product.
So let's just wrap up, because I think we're pretty close on time here. So looking at the back, yes, that's true. So just to, it's very difficult to round up on distribution strategy. I've been trying for years and failed, but as anybody who knows me will know. But just what's the innovation? What's your view on the innovation that's coming in distribution strategy? Just once round the panel, and then we'll conclude.
I mean, probably to repeat myself, I think that what we're seeing is that the people who are coming in to run e-commerce and run distribution strategies at airlines in particular now, they're coming from places like Tesco, like Walmart, like Target. So they're coming from other industries. I think that will bring innovation and change in the distribution strategies itself. And I think then they're orientating those strategies around their customers and being very purposeful about deciding what products they want to sell to their customer through what channel, right, and extract value. And I believe me, again, in case anybody takes me up wrong, I believe the GDSs have a value in that. I think
Jerry would agree with you, I think. Ronan?
Absolutely, I agree that the GDS will remain part of our distribution strategy in Aerlingus. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I think really where it comes to distribution strategy and all the discussions around it, the key item to bring it back down to is, do we have a proper handle within airlines on channel contribution? So do we know definitively what each channel costs and what revenue we're getting from each channel, and that ultimately will facilitate the decision making around our strategies.
So merchandising, quality of control, and understanding costs and the relationship between revenue.
Yeah. So and when I say revenue, I mean the total revenue. So it's fares, taxes,
ancillaries,
all the different ancillary items that come into the mix, and the costs associated with each of the different channels. Net them out and see what's what, and then you'll have a different. You may have a different view as to what fare you accept or what markup you charge in different channels, and what happens.
Ron.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see a very large move to much more traditional methods of distribution. And in that, I think you're going to see a massive change to the way that interlining is done and the elimination of the prorate. I think that monies will get distributed on the front end, and that probably will eliminate the biggest single dysfunction this industry runs into.
The elimination of prorate, the biggest innovation.
I'd just say I think the two important things from my point of view is keep control, but be flexible. Never say never, and I think you've introduced EasyJet. There's never going to be distributing through the GDS. Clearly we are. I think we have to look at all different opportunities that there are, and there's going to be more and more opportunities. The whole, the traditional method of distribution that we knew, 10, 15 years ago, it's not going to be like that anymore. Mobile distribution, all sorts of different ways of selling, different marketplaces. We're all going to have to be really fleet of foot and see what the opportunities are, but in your own control. Know your business model, not just throw open the doors and lose everything that you've built up over the years.
So control.
Control.
It's difficult to add something original today at this stage. But anyway, I think that in 3, 4, 5 years, the strategies will remain the same. We can swap volumes from one channel to another, but GDS and website will be the best ways and the basic ways to sell.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wonder if you'd give a panel a clap. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.